What is causing food shortages in the UK? According to the media reports from the UK, Wright, who is the head of the Food and Drinking Federation, said last week that the UK might be in for permanent shortage in the supply of some products. In the UK, shortages in the labor force in the food industry and the truck drivers are causing supply chain issues in the availability of food products. These labor force shortages are driven by factors related to the COVID-19 pandemic as well as Brexit, after which the UK has witnessed an exodus of some workers out of the country. According to media reports from the UK, Ian Wright, who is the head of the Food and Drinking Federation, said last week that the UK might be in for permanent shortages in the supply of some products. He also said some companies now have to prioritize which products to supply due to shortages in the labor force. The UK government, however, has denied that there will be permanent shortages. In August, McDonald's stopped selling milkshakes out of all the 1250 outlets in the UK because of a supply chain issue resulting from a shortage of truck drivers. The food chain Nando's had to close down a few of its outlets in the UK after it ran out of chicken. But what explains the labour shortages in the UK? The British Poultry Council notes that the numerous sectors and businesses across the UK are facing labour shortages. Following Brexit, there was a continuous exodus of workers who are not permanent residents of the UK. An opinion piece published by the BBC website notes nobody would admit when they voted to leave the EU they wanted to compromise food security, raise the cost of food production, and reduce access to food. Yet, that is exactly what Brexit, in its ideology and its application, is bringing us to. Hospitality is getting much of the media attention, but work backwards down the chain. Logistics are compromised because of a shortage of lorry drivers. Food processors and manufacturers cannot get enough people in factories. Farms do not have people to pick up and catch. In August, the British Meat Processor Association announced that the staff and sales shortages were continuing to hamper food production, and that many meat companies were already about 6 weeks behind on the Christmas production schedule. It now looks inevitable that there will be shortage of the more complicated lines like pigs in blankets and game on roads. Given the current workforce shortages, meat companies are finding it difficult to see how they will dig themselves out of this, BMPA said in a statement. BMPA also said the problem of workforce shortage, which is nearing about 15%, has been exacerbated because some retailers are paying sign-on bonuses to poach drivers from their suppliers. This in turn making it difficult for manufacturers to move their products to distribution centers and also transport ingredients and goods to manufacturing sites. To add insult to injury, those some retailers are then charging a penalty of their suppliers for failure to deliver. Why is there a shortage of truck drivers? In April, the Road Haulage Association called for urgent government intervention to ease the driver shortages, which were made worse by the IR35 tax changes, which became applicable from April 21 onwards. In the statement of the RHA, the situation was critical even before the pandemic, with many European Union truckers heading home for obvious Brexit-related reasons. Added that the complete failure to test new drivers during lockdown, which left a backlog of thousands of tests and potential drivers sidelined. COVID-19 saw the introduction of IR35 delayed by 1 year, but it's now hitting many firms and drivers. The RHA has called on the government to clear the backlog of driving tests and to put lorry drivers onto the occupation shortage list. This can help fill gaps by the drivers from the European Union and other countries and address the need for driver facilities. Thank you.